Hey everyone, welcome to Strange Stories, where we explore near-death experiences and supernatural stories from people who've had a glimpse of the other side. If you enjoy our content, please consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel. Without further ado, let's get to the story of the day. I was nearing my weariness as a result of my friend's lengthy care. I had done practically all of the care in our home by myself. Finally, an outpatient nursing service could assist. That lasted about a year. My friend and I had a really tight friendship. We were also quite honest about psychological and emotional issues with one another. Half a year ago, he, Rolf, was at a point where he was ready to depart, that is, to die, and I agreed to look after him at home. There were some critical situations and hospitalizations. However, at the time of the choice, I was already in an advanced stage of infection with a highly compromised immune system. So the question was, you or I, who is first? Because it is in my habit to keep to my plans, I gathered all of my power to continue to properly care for and support my spouse. My experience as a naturopath and nurse aided me in this endeavor. I was able to use natural healing approaches alongside the most effective conventional medical treatments. Rolf, afterwards, received daily infusions, even some transfusions, and all of this in his similar surroundings at home, which I normally do myself. I had also had prior experience with end-of-life care, having cared for both my father in 1975 at the age of 20 and my maternal uncle in 1979. I looked after both of them till they died at home. Rolf's condition deteriorated rapidly in June 1991. He became blind, so I read to him every day for a long time, but his overall condition was deteriorating, particularly his blood count. He needed more transfusions now. We attempted to do this as an outpatient at the clinic for safety reasons, but it was really difficult on him. As a result, despite the significant risks and some medical challenges, I opted to perform the transfusions myself at home. This was really superior. Unfortunately, despite all medical attempts, his condition deteriorated. Rolf was also well aware of this. Surprisingly, I was able to soothe and console him. Through my presence, he felt at ease and secure. We also discussed life after death, something he did not believe in. I, on the other hand, was convinced. On June 21, 1991, in the early afternoon, the nurse and I both realized that Rolf would die today or tomorrow. I requested the nurse to leave because I wanted to give Rolf a proper send-off. Since the morning, Rolf has been in a coma. In the afternoon, I made the decision to die beside him. I did my best to prepare everything. I started by cleaning the apartment and writing a farewell note. Then I chose Rolf's favorite music and set the tape to loop. I cleaned Rolf again and dressed him in the clothing he had requested, a white shirt with many multicolored ribbons. Then I cleansed myself and put on loose yet lovely clothes. I festively adorned the room, lit candles and incense, and opened both windows. I turned off both the phone and the doorbell. It was almost 6 p.m. and Rolf was already snap breathing. I had been planning my suicide for several days, hoping that we would both die at the same time. Rolf's infusions were administered using a port-a-cath system, from which I first drew a larger amount, 100 milliliter of his blood. Then I upped his morphine dosage slightly. Then I inserted a butterfly IV cannula into myself. I went to bed with Rolf to administer my shot and to die with him. I injected Rolf's blood through the cannula in the hopes of eliciting an incompatibility reaction, and then morphine and other medicines in higher quantities. But I can't recall how much it was. Then I must have slept off. The NDE began as follows. I instantly hovered over my body, giving me a bird's eye perspective of the situation. Rolf and I were in bed close to one another, but I didn't have any direct contact with Rolf. Everything around me was playing out like a movie in front of my eyes. I witnessed my past lives, as well as what is going presently in other parts of the world. I saw politicians, wars, factories, and people who are preoccupied with their concerns, much as in a puppet show. All of this seemed insignificant, even amusing. I burst out laughing at how I and all of us are digging ourselves out here on Earth. Then I was dragged away via a tube, and in the distance, I saw a bright, very warm light. I felt as though I was being drawn there, and I also wanted to go there. On the way, I saw folks who had passed away, including my grandmother and other former friends who had died of AIDS. I could tell they were overjoyed and wanted to hug me. Then, all of a sudden, an angel appeared beside me and introduced himself as your chosen guardian angel. He told me without words that he was always there for me and wondered why I hadn't called him more often for assistance. At this level, there were no words. Knowledge occurred simply by being receptive to receive. It was a fantastic and indescribable experience to acquire that wisdom and information without misunderstandings, prejudices, or other negative forces. Everything was true and in the present moment. Following this insight, I joined the angel in front of a massive open entrance, similar to a celestial gate. My guardian angel, Peter, informed me that I could not enter quite yet. This surprised me in some ways, but it also filled me with immense goodwill and love. I'm at a loss for words. Everything was imbued with a sense of unqualified security, love, and acceptance. I was informed that for a while, I should endeavor to provide this feeling of unrestrained, unconditional love to my fellow humans on Earth. Then everything happened extremely quickly. My guardian angel returned me to my body without any pain or difficulty. I was overjoyed and relieved. It's quite difficult to convey what happened since the words keep disappearing. What I mean is that it occurred without a timetable, instantaneously and infinitely. I heard the music in our room again at some point and felt a tiny ache in my left arm, where the infusion needle was still stuck. Because the cannula had most likely pushed through, a big bruise had formed. So I got rid of the infusion cannula. Then I awoke and noticed that the body next to me was already cooler than mine. I stood up, swayed a little, but still checked Rolf's vital signs. There was no heartbeat or respiration. Even though it was dark outside, a blackbird sang its evening song just outside our window. Rolf had died, and his soul was now in a place where I was only allowed to see for a brief period. I was certain. I sensed it the same way I felt the messages from my extraterrestrial encounter. I sat down next to Rolf in bed and hugged his already cold body once again. That, though, made me uneasy. I had to get up and carry on with my life. I was given a task. Suddenly, I was overcome with grief. How could I possibly survive on my own? Why wasn't I allowed to go? Even though the encounter had been so powerful, some earthly doubts had returned. I attempted to put what I had been told into written words in order to capture part of it. I put on some soothing music and resolved not to contact the doctor or anyone else until the morning. I wanted to give Rolf and myself some time to relax. This time, it was vital for me to take it all in, and I also felt like my body needed some peace. At 6 a.m., I called the emergency doctor, who confirmed Rolf's death, and then I rapidly caught up with the daily life of the mourning friend.